In 944, a fractured nation bled dry as 12 ruthless warlords tore the sacred land apart. Endless warfare consumed every village, leaving a terrifying void where prosperity and hope once firmly stood. From the treacherous, jagged limestone peaks, a singular visionary leader watched the horrifying chaos unfold below.
My lord, the northern forces are utterly exhausted. Our time to strike and claim dominion approaches.
We will not merely strike. We will entirely crush their souls, forging one unbreakable iron empire.
Utilizing the harsh, unforgiving mountainous terrain, he forged an unyielding military bastion, shrouded in endless mist. Discipline replaced despair as thousands of sturdy warriors swore eternal loyalty to their newly rising warlord. He knew brute force alone could never conquer the entrenched enemies fortified behind massive stone walls. Psychological warfare became his sharpest weapon, paralyzing rival factions before a single physical blow was struck.
They are just mountain bandits! Hold the gates! Do not let their primitive illusions break us! Let the mountains scream! Show them the agonizing wrath of a unified, unstoppable, rising sovereign force!
The night sky violently erupted as a storm of fire rained down upon the paralyzed adversaries. Panic rapidly infected the opposing ranks, as supply lines were ruthlessly severed by silent mountain ghosts. Starving and entirely isolated, the weaker lords quickly surrendered, bowing before the unstoppable Crimson War banners. Yet, the most arrogant factions stubbornly refused to yield, retreating into their heavily armored defensive bastions. For these defiant enemies, no mercy would be granted. Only absolute, uncompromising annihilation awaited their stubbornness.
Their fortress is reinforced with heavy iron. A direct frontal assault will cost us thousands today.
Burn their gates to ashes! No wall can withstand the blazing inferno of our unified destiny!
The final brutal siege commenced as massive flaming projectiles violently shattered the reinforced enemy iron gates. Through the dense, choking smoke, an unstoppable tidal wave of disciplined warriors surged into the breach. As the massive wooden walls finally collapsed, resistance shattered like fragile glass beneath iron boots. Word of this brutal subjugation spread rapidly, sending icy terror into the hearts of remaining warlords.
He is a mountain demon! If we do not unite our banners now, we all perish!
They are attempting to form a panicked coalition. We must isolate their communications immediately, my lord.
Before the frightened lords could forge a desperate alliance, shadowy assassins severed their vital mountain routes. Each rival faction found themselves completely trapped in isolated valleys, slowly suffocating without external military support. The undisputed master of the highlands weaponized the very earth, turning geography into a silent executioner. Supply caravans were systematically ambushed, leaving heavily armored battalions starving amidst the harsh, unforgiving wilderness terrain. Hunger and paranoia festered within the besieged camps, breaking their fighting spirit faster than any blade.
Send them the torn banners of their fallen allies. Let them taste the bitter ashes of defiance.
I will never bow to a peasant! We fight until the last drop of our blood!
Such foolish pride was met with an immediate, overwhelming demonstration of merciless and absolute military supremacy. The earth trembled as relentless siege engines bombarded the crumbling barricades, burying their desperate false hopes. A wave of dark steel swept through the breached walls, consuming the last remnants of resistance. Thus concluded the initial phase of pacification. The weakest lords had fallen, but the strongest remained. The brutal campaign transitioned into a grinding war of attrition against the wealthiest and most entrenched warlords. These final adversaries commanded heavily armored legions, requiring patience and a much darker psychological warfare strategy.
A direct clash will bleed us dry. We must drain their wealth and starve their towering ambition.
Starvation is the ultimate blade. Let them watch their power wither away behind those invincible stone walls.
The noose tightened as highland ghosts completely surrounded the wealthy plains, cutting off all remaining escape routes. Weeks turned into agonizing months as the unrelenting blockade choked the remaining rebellious factions completely dry. Inside the isolated bastions, desperate lords watched their opulent wealth become utterly worthless against pure starvation.
Eat the war horses! We will never surrender our ancestral domain to a treacherous highland peasant.
Their supplies are gone. The stench of internal betrayal will soon open their impenetrable iron gates.
As predicted, the horrific pangs of hunger slowly eroded every solemn oath of eternal warrior loyalty. Midnight assassinations replaced honorable daytime combat as desperate soldiers turned against their very own commanders. The once unbreakable alliances fractured from within, achieving the sovereign's dark strategic goal without shedding his army's blood.
They are devouring themselves. Prepare the heavy siege engines to break what little spirit remains standing.
At dawn, an overwhelming barrage of massive stones rained down upon the already fractured, miserable defenders. The deafening bombardment ruthlessly silenced any remaining whispers of defiance, leaving only a hollow, echoing despair. Then the haunting war horns of the Highlands echoed, signaling the arrival of an inevitable nightmare.
Hold the line! If we fall today, our ancestral names will be erased from history forever.
Their lines are entirely broken. Show them absolutely no quarter until every knee touches the dirt.
The Highland vanguard crashed into the desperate defenders like a relentless dark storm consuming fragile leaves. Unmatched discipline completely overwhelmed frantic, starving desperation, transforming the chaotic battlefield into a systematic, brutal slaughter. The proud lords who once dreamed of supreme sovereignty were dragged from their opulent, ruined halls.
Your petty ambitions end here. Bow to the unified banner, or join the ashes of history.
Forced to witness the total destruction of his invincible legion, the final arrogant warlord finally broke. One by one, the scattered northern territories fell under the absolute iron grip of the Highlands. The terrifying era of 12 fractured warlords was rapidly dissolving into the bloody soil of unification. Yet, in the darkest corners of the fractured realm, a treacherous new alliance secretly formed overnight. They realized that submitting to the Highland conqueror meant the absolute eradication of their noble bloodlines.
Strike the mountain passes while he celebrates. We will cut the serpent's head in his own lair.
Our scouts report heavy movement in the shadows. A desperate rat bites hardest before it dies.
Let them march into the jaws of death. We will turn their ambush into a monumental slaughter.
The rebels crept towards the towering limestone peaks, entirely unaware they were walking into a massive trap. Silence engulfed the narrow canyons, a terrifying calm before the devastating storm of iron and raging fire. Suddenly, the piercing sound of a singular Highland war horn shattered the fragile, treacherous midnight silence forever. The mountains seemingly roared to life as an endless volley of flaming arrows illuminated the bloody gorge. Panic erupted instantly within the canyon as the desperate ambushers realized they were hopelessly surrounded and doomed.
Retreat! The canyon is a death trap! Pull back before we are completely burned alive! Cut their retreat. Release the heavy timber and crush their fragile hopes into the bloody mud.
Massive burning logs tumbled down the steep cliffs, obliterating the rear guard and sealing the valley exit. Trapped between towering walls of fire and impenetrable stone, the rebel coalition faced absolute, unavoidable total slaughter. Then, marching in perfect unity through the thick smoke, the Highland vanguard moved to finish the massacre. No mercy was offered, and none was asked, as the disciplined phalanx systematically executed the desperate survivors. The ambitious counterattack, meant to decapitate the sovereign, ended in a monumental river of tragic rebellious blood.
Gather their broken weapons. We will forge them into a monument of our absolute, unbreakable supremacy.
This crushing victory sent a final, paralyzing shockwave across the remaining fragmented territories of the bleeding nation. There was no longer any illusion of resistance. The warlords had to choose either immediate submission or annihilation. As the crushing news of the failed ambush spread, widespread despair paralyzed the remaining rebel strongholds. The psychological torment reached its absolute zenith, breaking the hardened spirits of the most stubborn veterans.
There is no hope left. If we fight, he will slaughter us all without any mercy.
Their morale is completely shattered. Offer them one final chance to kneel before the unified standard.
Envoys carrying the Crimson Standard rode deep into hostile territory, delivering an absolute and chilling ultimatum. The terms were brutal but clear: immediate surrender and eternal loyalty, or total uncompromising fiery annihilation. Faced with overwhelming military supremacy, a cascade of defections rapidly dismantled the fragile, rebellious defensive lines.
Accept their broken swords. But remember, a forced loyalty must be constantly tested with absolute terror.
One by one, massive stone gates groaned open as defeated factions surrendered their ancestral golden wealth. Whole armies laid down their rusted weapons, bowing deeply before the unstoppable march of the Highlands. Yet, three exceptionally powerful warlords formed a final, desperate triad, refusing to accept the bitter subjugation. They concentrated their massive surviving forces in the deepest valleys, preparing for an apocalyptic final stand.
We will bleed them for every inch of mud. Our ancestors will witness our glorious defiance. They have fortified the river delta. We must deploy the heavy siege weapons to shatter them.
The Highland sovereign did not hesitate, immediately ordering a relentless, overwhelming total mobilization of his vanguard. Thousands of disciplined warriors marched relentlessly across the rain-soaked plains, dragging colossal wooden machines of destruction. The heavens wept a torrential storm, turning the contested battlefield into a horrifying, muddy graveyard trench.
Let the storm conceal our movement. We will attack at midnight and crush their fragile formation.
As darkness consumed the flooded delta, the vanguard phalanx silently positioned themselves for the ultimate massacre. This would be the decisive, bloody confrontation, ending the horrific era of 12 divided, chaotic lords. Lightning tore the black sky apart as the Supreme Commander signaled the relentless midnight assault. Thousands of Highland warriors surged through the freezing mud, an unstoppable tide of dark, lethal iron.
Shatter their walls into dust! Let the thunder roar with our absolute, uncompromising victory tonight! The catapults are loaded, my lord! We will bury their fragile rebellion under massive burning stones!
Massive flaming boulders tore through the heavy rain, violently crushing the fragile rebel defensive structures entirely. The deafening explosions entirely drowned out the agonizing screams of the paralyzed, dying Northern Confederacy troops. Through the smoke and pouring rain, the disciplined vanguard violently crashed into the chaotic enemy remnants.
Hold the line! If they break through the center, our entire alliance is permanently slaughtered! Your alliance is already dead! Kneel before your supreme emperor, or perish in this bloody mud!
The final defiant stand quickly dissolved into an absolute, horrific slaughter under the relentless storm's fury. Unmatched Highland discipline completely eradicated the chaotic, desperate rebellion, systematically breaking their fragile ranks into pieces. The proud warlords who once dreamed of eternal sovereignty were violently dragged into the cold mud. Forced to witness the complete annihilation of their majestic forces, the last rebellious leaders finally broke.
The final triad has fallen, my lord. The fractured realm is completely under your absolute dominion. The 12 warlords are erased. Tomorrow, a unified, unyielding empire will formally rise from these bloody ashes.
As dawn slowly broke, the violent tempest finally subsided, revealing a completely silenced, thoroughly conquered battlefield. For the first time in an agonizing, bloody century, the fractured nation breathed as one entity. The era of chaotic warlords was violently extinguished, permanently replaced by a singular, supreme iron will. The peasant who mastered the treacherous highland peaks now ascended to claim absolute, unquestionable imperial authority. A grand coronation awaited, a monumental ceremony to forge an eternal dynasty from absolute total destruction. Months of relentless bloodshed finally culminated in the ultimate consolidation of absolute, unquestionable imperial terrestrial power. Inside the towering stone citadel, a heavy atmosphere of supreme dominance entirely replaced the chaotic past. The surviving defeated lords were dragged before the massive throne, stripped of their former arrogant titles.
We bow our heads to the true sovereign. Our ancestral lands now belong to your mighty banner. Their submission is complete, my emperor. The treacherous northern remnants will never dare to rise again.
Heavy footsteps echoed through the silent hall as the undisputed conqueror emerged from the dark shadows. He ascended the magnificent golden steps, carrying the unimaginable weight of a fiercely united, reborn nation. A majestic, golden artifact was presented, symbolizing the absolute divine right to rule the vast terrestrial domain.
This seal is forged from the blood of 12 fallen armies. Let the Northern Empire witness our strength. We stand equal to the Northern Dragons now. Our iron borders will remain permanently unbroken, Majesty.
With a single decisive stamp of the golden artifact, the Grand Daiko Viet dynasty was born. Outside the impenetrable fortress walls, a colossal military parade showcased the terrifying might of the new empire. Monumental machines of destruction were proudly displayed, serving as a brutal warning to any future foreign invaders. The deadly mountain ghosts fired a simultaneous volley into the sky, celebrating the end of chaotic bloodshed. This unparalleled display of martial supremacy sent a clear, terrifying message across the treacherous northern imperial borders.
The Northern spies are watching us, my Emperor. They see an unbreakable wall of dark iron today. Let them watch. If they cross our sovereign borders, they will burn entirely in our fiery wrath.
From a fractured realm of endless despair, an immovable, towering titan of military supremacy had finally awakened. The bloody valleys were finally cleansed, replaced by the cold, unyielding iron law of the first emperor. History would forever remember the legendary peasant who forged a magnificent, invincible empire from absolute burning ashes.